is the idea behind the picking. Now, I'm using this and going down, 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 up, 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 up. If you keep doing that on everything, that's called sweep picking. Now, alternate picking is when you go to each string and you're going down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay? That's what most of us do. Most of us play the alternate picking style. In gypsy jazz, the basic rest stroke picking is used mostly, and that was because of volume, like I said. And of course, nowadays, plugging into an amp doesn't mean you have to play loud, but that is the style, and it gives you a certain type of a tone too, based on the pick. So let's do a little close-up here of my pick, and you can see what's going on. Okay, take a look at this. As I play each note here, I'm going to do eighth notes. All those are downstrokes. But even if we do alternate picking, if we start with a downstroke, go down, up, down, up. That's still a downstroke for each adjacent string. Coming back, we can do the same thing. Down, up, down, up. And so, it's logical. Now on triplets, we can still do downstrokes on adjacent strings. So if we went down, down, hopefully you can see what I just did there. And the only problem we would have is when we have to descend on a triplet pattern, an odd number of notes. So when we come back down, if we were to go start the descent as a downstroke, we have an option here of either doing an upstroke or just a downstroke, but in so doing we have to jump, so to speak, with the string. So if we went down, now here I am with my pick, there's nowhere else to go. So I have to come back up this way, over the top, and do a downstroke again. Now that is what is causing difficulty for most players. This is where you run into problems, and you end up having to use, you don't have to, but most people would end up using the brief sweeping technique. So the difference between picking from the elbow, which is what we're doing typically, versus picking from the wrist. The wrist is when we have to sweep pick. Okay? Watch a player like Frank Gambale and you'll see the magnificence of the sweep technique. I mean, it's incredible. And it's very little movement for what he's doing. And of course he's playing mostly electric a lot of times. But there is a technique where you have to actually kind of tilt your pick as you come back up. This is an edge kind of thing. So if you started this with an upstroke, down, up, you're obviously in a position to play an upstroke again. If your pick is tilted slightly. Okay, and this is the only, then you can remove the problem from the first two strings when you're starting your descent. Of course, if you want to descend with alternate picking, this is really easy to do. I'm doing up, down, 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 up, down. That's your alternate picking style. So you have to make a decision on how you want to do this. It's totally up to you. And necessity is the mother of invention. Now let's take a look at my picking straight from a bird's eye view of the player, of me looking at my pick, looking down at the pick, so you can get a better idea of what I'm doing. Okay, hopefully you can see the angle of my pick here, and you can watch how this works as I pick downward. So on an even number of notes, if I go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, you can see that each time I go to the next string, I'm going on a downstroke, obviously. Now when I come back up, if I start with a downstroke, and it's an even number of notes, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So you can see how my hand is, hopefully. And I do have a bit of an angle here, if you look at my wrist. So when we play the triplets, ascending, you can still do a downstroke on each of the adjacent strings. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. You can see each time I'm going a downstroke. Now this is where it gets tricky. There are two ways when you come back to do this. But the fundamentals of the rest stroke is basically to try to do all these on a downstroke. And the reason why is to keep your for basically for volume. I mean, this is where it became apparent, is that it's all about volume, since we're playing acoustic guitars. Now, of course, nowadays the modern player plugs into an amp, even though he's playing an acoustic. He or she is playing an acoustic guitar. So basically, it's not so much necessary to always be strict in your picking, but if you want to practice this style, the fundamentals of the rest stroke picking is important, because you're going to employ the downstroke, the upstroke, and at certain cases you're going to use the sweep picking technique, depending on the number of notes per string. So, there you have it as a close-up. Hopefully that will make sense to you.